In 2024, 3 scientists shared the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for cracking a problem biology had been stuck on for half a century: how a protein folds into the exact shape that makes it work. Their names were Demis Hassabis, John Jumper, and David Baker. Together, they taught machines to read the language of life. And this year, they split up. In June, John Jumper, the man who led that project, left Google DeepMind for its rival Anthropic. David Baker is off building proteins that have never existed in nature. And Demis Hassabis has bet everything on one company and one finish line. Because reading how life is built was only ever step 1. Hassabis wants to do something no one has ever done. He wants to take a medicine designed entirely by an artificial intelligence and put it inside a human body. And he is close. Now, I'm going to be honest with you from the first minute, because this is a story people keep getting wrong. It hasn't happened yet. This is a countdown, not a headline. But the reason it's astonishing and the reason we should watch it carefully turn out to be exactly the same reason. So let me show you what he actually built. Start with AlphaFold, because you need it to understand what comes next. AlphaFold takes a protein's genetic code and predicts its 3-dimensional shape. That was the Nobel-winning breakthrough. But here's the catch: a shape is not a drug. Knowing what a lock looks like doesn't hand you the key. To design a medicine, you need something harder. You need to know how a candidate molecule actually grips that protein, how tightly it holds on, and whether there's a hidden pocket somewhere on the surface, a handle no one ever noticed. That is exactly what Hassabis' company, Isomorphic Labs, unveiled this February. They call it the drug design engine. And it's built to do that missing step, the one between a shape on a screen and an actual medicine. It predicts how strongly a drug will bind. It hunts for those hidden pockets. It's the bridge from reading biology to designing against it. So how good is it? Here I have to choose my words carefully, and so should anyone reporting this. On the hardest test there is, targets so new they look like nothing the system has ever seen, Isomorphic reports that its engine got them right about half the time, more than double AlphaFold 3. But hold on to 3 words: Isomorphic reports. These are the company's own numbers. They have not been peer-reviewed. And unlike AlphaFold, which DeepMind gave to the world for free, this engine is a closed box. They are keeping how it works to themselves. Still, sit with the claim, because if it holds up, it matters. The slowest, most expensive part of early drug discovery is the guessing. Making thousands of molecules in a lab to find the handful that fit. An engine that can rank them on a computer in a fraction of the time doesn't cure anything. It makes the search dramatically cheaper. And cheaper is how you get more shots on goal. So, where's the drug? Here's the honest heart of the whole story. There isn't one in a human yet. Not one patient. As of today, Isomorphic has not dosed a single person. What they have is a target: reaching the clinic, the first human trial, sometime around the end of this year. And even that has slipped. Hassabis once suggested 2025, then walked it back, saying he'd misspoken. Push for an exact date, and the honest answer is, nobody outside the company really knows. But I want to be clear. That delay is not a failure. It's the single most important thing to understand about this entire field. Designing the molecule? That's the part that just got fast. Proving it's safe enough to give to a human being? That part you cannot rush, and you should not want to. Before any person takes an experimental drug, it has to survive months of animal safety studies, toxicology, a mountain of paperwork for the regulators. There is no algorithm that skips it. The company's own president put it plainly last year. They're staffing up. They're getting very close. Close, not there. So the clock is ticking, and it raises the obvious question, the one that flips this whole story. If the finish line is a medicine designed by an AI going into a human, is Isomorphic even going to be the one who gets there first? Because here is what almost nobody tells you. An AI-designed drug is already being tested in people, right now. It is just not Isomorphic's. A company called Insilico Medicine has a drug for a brutal, scarring lung disease. And what makes it remarkable is that the AI didn't just help. It found the biological target to attack, and it designed the molecule to attack it. Both halves came from the machine. That drug went through a real, published, peer-reviewed trial, dozens of patients. And just this month, it moved into phase 3, the final stage before a drug can be approved. So when you hear the phrase, the first AI-designed drug, you have to hold it carefully. Isomorphic is racing to be first with its engine on the hardest targets in the body. But the milestone itself, a medicine dreamed up by a machine sitting inside a human being, that line has already been crossed, quietly, by someone else. And one more piece of honesty, because it matters most of all. These early trials are not testing a cure. A first-stage trial asks one question: is this safe? If it goes perfectly, all it means is that the drug didn't harm the volunteers, not that it works. The finish line everyone is sprinting toward is really just the starting line of a much longer race. Now step back, because it is worth remembering how impossibly fast all of this arrived. Rewind to 2020. There's a contest, held every couple of years, where research teams try to predict the shape of a protein from its code. For decades, it barely moved. It was one of the great unsolved problems in all of biology. And then, DeepMind showed up with AlphaFold, and effectively ended it. The predictions were so accurate, they rivaled what you'd get from years of painstaking lab work. The independent scientist who ran the competition, John Molt, said something that stuck with people. He said we had been stuck on this one question: how does a protein fold, for nearly 50 years? And to watch it fall was, in his words, a very special moment. That was 2020, just reading the structure. Everything since has been about the next verb, not reading a protein, designing against one. Read it, then design against it, then the clinic. The same lineage that cracked the reading is now trying to carry it all the way to a patient's arm. In barely 6 years, from a solved puzzle to the very doorstep of a hospital ward. That is the actual speed we are talking about. And this is so much bigger than one company. 3 of the largest names in all of medicine, Novartis, Eli Lilly, and Johnson & Johnson, have signed on to design drugs this way. The 3 scientists who started it are each coming at the problem from a different direction now, and an AI-designed drug is already in the final stage of testing. But hold on to the honest frame, because it is the entire point. The AI designs the candidate. Human beings still make the molecule, run the trial, read every result, and carry every ounce of the risk. The machine is a breathtaking designer. It is not a doctor. Demis Hassabis talks about a future where we help solve disease itself. That is an aspiration, a North Star to steer by, not a bottle on a shelf. Not yet, maybe not for years. But the tools to design a medicine, really design it, from the shape of a protein up, those are real, and they are here now. Whether this is the year one of them first reaches a human, and whether we test it as carefully as it deserves, that part was always ours to decide. The engine is built, the clock is running, and what we choose to do with it is still up to us.